Hey guys, this is Jason at Mustang Rehab. Back today on the Bronco. We are finally getting ready to put the tubs in and the little corner pieces on the bed. I've kind of dry fit them a little bit, but we'll go through it today and show you sort of what some of the tough areas I ran into and how I've prepped it, getting the parts prepped to weld. But anyways, I guess last time we had put the upper and lower quarters on, B-pillar and the end post. So I took the outer cover of the lower quarter off so we can access the wheel tubs and get it put in. So again, before you start all this, make sure you're square, make sure you have all your posts where you want them, and your floor is generally straight. I found that it's got to be just right. So anyways, we'll get into it and show you guys what I found. All right, we're going to start on the passenger side. I found the driver's side goes in a little easier because it doesn't have as much of an apron coming down on the inner fender. When I had that one fit first, it was pulling on the passenger side really hard. It had a really big gap, and trying to get my tub to sit, horizontal across the top instead of with a pitch up was kind of difficult. But I disassembled it and I started with this side and sort of got a lot of the stress into these panels, and it went in a little better. So I'm thinking maybe that might be a good idea for you guys too, is to start with the passenger side, work to your driver's side, because it's got the little cover panels for your filler necks. So I've already got it drilled. Your tub will sit on top of this lip. And so I just set my tub in here and it wants to sit in the center. So once you sort of find it, I was using lots of vice grip pliers and clamping it to the floor. Another handy use for the block of wood I have under the bed of the Bronco is I can set this tub on it. And it just sort of gives that a place instead of it falling out. And I've got my self-tapping screws here all over the place. Just have you plenty. And I'll go back to the holes I found to start with. And again, I marked them with Sharpies. Alright, so now you see I've got all these places where I can weld this thing in here in a little bit. I can stick in and spot weld it, and then once I get these spots done, I'll clamp it, pull the screw out, and weld these holes up, and this thing will be nice and secure. This is what I was talking about. It's really high, and I'm having to pull it down and pull it in. That's why I'm starting over here. Probably something to do with it being, of course, being aftermarket parts. But the measurements are, my center line and everything is just right. Joni came out a couple times yesterday checking on me, but I really had to stare at this a little while and get it to fit. But see, now you can tell that I'm inside the radius of the bed panel. You can hardly see it, so that's good. So I'm going to go ahead and put in the few screws that I had in it yesterday, and then we'll start working our floor pieces in, and we'll start checking our measurements to make sure that we're not moving. Alright, we have the rear corner piece going in now. And so sort of how I started with this was leveling up what everybody's going to see, which is your seam here, right along the top of the bed. It goes in so easy. Check this, baby. Anyways, get your screws in. Like I said, if I had a pair of pliers, I would have had it all clamped together with a pair of pliers. Let me get a pair of pliers. Okay, like I said, a nice pair. C-clamp pliers, nice grip pliers. And again, I've already got my holes drilled. And then across this back, right here, same thing. And now this is level. I'll come in and weld it and we're good to go. All right, so we've got the rear corner in. And we'll show you from the back. To me, I'm not real satisfied with it, but it's about as good as I can get. This bend isn't quite the same, and it gives an optical illusion that this corner is going down, but it's actually not. You can lay a square across here, and this is sitting nice and square. What's actually the problem is this is sticking up just a little bit, but still this bend in this tub isn't exactly the same, so it's about as close as I'm gonna be able to get it. And I think once it's all in one color, they've got some kind of powdered where they primed it, so it's got this little weird shadow effect. I think once that's gone too, it'll help. It looks much better in person, I'm sure, than it does on video. All right, the front corner of the floor, when they ship you this right here is just one big tab. I found out you're gonna have to end up bending it. And so what I did is I just put a slit in it, turned the ear down so I can weld it to the vertical edge of the floor pan. So this sort of fills the gap in the floor pan. This will go underneath and just gives it another place to weld it to. So I'll spot weld here and here. And then this, of course, gets spot welded to the floor. So it gets welded, spot welded through your upper quarter to this piece. I've got it welded on the inside of the wheel tub, which drilled, which it'll weld here, and I've got it where we can put the screws. And here again, I've already pre-fit it. This is a little tight corner because it's got a couple of 2 layers thick of material in there. So I need to get a pair of pliers and sort of hold it as I cap it up into place. Here's your passenger side floor mocked in place, all screwed together. Again, well, I didn't tell you this at the beginning, but these are all Dennis Carpenter parts also. The corners, tubs, floor. These actually fit pretty good. You can tell some of the stuff isn't quite square, but all this gets seam sealed. So as long as we get a real good weld on it, it'll get seam sealed, and that's sort of one of those things that gets covered up. So let's move on to the driver's side and hope that it goes back together. Oh, look over here, Joni. Here's something else I keep watching. And my gaps are great. So we're in real good shape. Mocking all this together. The door shuts good. So here's the driver's side. We're gonna go in with the wheel tub. And what I was talking about on the other side, you might be able to see it better. Well, I know you can since we don't have this material there. You can sort of move it back and forth inside this gap. And then what you want to do is go inside and look down your bed line. And if you'll look down this line, looking, if when your eye sees this and then it sees the plane of the bed, it's all nice and square, nice and flat. So make sure when you mock it together that you have that straight, because that kind of stuff is kind of an eyesore. Alright, will you check that seam one more time? I think I moved it when I put the screw in.
Okay, from the camera it looks okay, but looking away from the camera it looks like it went down just a little bit towards the driver, and then it's higher in the back.
This side? Okay,
yes.
So it's down here.
Down. I mean, it's not much.
Yeah, it actually did. You look, I guess if you look here and here,
Yes.
it's yeah, so the whole tub dropped just a little bit up front. So we would check that. That's sort of what I was talking about, guys. Right now it's time to fix it because it's about to be welded in.
Well, in case people haven't noticed already, we're both just a little bit OCD from doing this over the years.
I'm my own worst critic, and I'll sit here and tell you guys all this stuff, you know, what not to do, but I tell you, I beat myself up over little things, and like I said, and it's a problem. It's not the best. It's good when you're trying to build cars and sell them, but if you're just wanting to build something, it's hard to let little things pass because they bother you. Let me look one last time. Let's put in the rear corner piece like we did the other side. Once again, it's all about flushing it up here and then keeping you a consistent height at your transition to your rear support. So again, on this, I'm using self-tapping screws because it was a little easier to just put them in, take them out, and then they don't make a really big hole. You can just weld it up. All right, and then I get one through the tub, which keeps it in the right plane, pitched up and down. I'll show you how I did that here in just a second. So what I do is I just take a framing square and just make sure your pieces line up. And so that's what I'm looking for when I'm putting the bed in. Before, when I had it mocked together, I took my marker, I marked it, and I knew I needed to drill my holes for spot welding this other cover. I said, you know, drill on the other side of the line. So I just made myself a note, drill it, and I can weld it in. And that will be this piece. This thing is right in there. Alright, so so I'm still doing it. I don't mean it. I really don't. It's just the way my brain is working at the moment. It's, for whatever reason, I keep starting off with alright, so. So you're going to hear it a bunch of times, and we've alluded to it before, but I can't help it. It's actually really clean. Yeah, look how nice and flat that is across the top. Now the lower front corner. This one I had to trim the same way. And honestly, I had cut this ear off before I thought of another way of using it, like I did the other side, turning it down and just welding it into the side of the floor pan. So this side doesn't have that little extra support, but it'll be okay. Flat there. You know, since we moved that other, before I just run these screws in the hole, I need to check it. Because we raised that tub up. I'm gonna put, I'll not do that because she's gonna put it in the video. We're gonna put this piece in. Try and see if I could bring it up a little bit. I remember it when I was dry fitting it, that this corner is down a little bit. And it actually might be this here. Come up here just a little bit. I'm gonna raise this corner up. Started fighting with this piece just a little bit because it was pretty drastic running downhill towards the front. So what I ended up doing was I drilled out these two spot welds that hold this thing in and out, and was able to put just a little bit of twist in it, and that helps raise this back edge up. And then by doing that, this sits a lot closer across the back here. Right down this corner, again, I was looking at it through the video a second ago. It does look like this is uphill, but it's not. This the straight edge on it, it's square. So that little hole there, you're gonna have seam sealer around all this, so it's no big deal. Just take your time, try to make these pieces fit. You spend a little extra time, you can make it fit really good. All right. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully I've helped you guys find the sequence and how to put all your pieces in. And what worked for me, again, passenger side was really tight if I tried to do it after I did the driver's side. So start with your passenger side and move on over and just keep checking and put it screws together, check your lines, and you should be in good shape. So appreciate you subscribing and thumbs up, and we'll see you on the next piece.